Welcome to Finding the Fire. The fire inside is what drives us. Left unattended, it can burn out of control. In Finding the Fire, Cindy Jacobson speaks with guests, telling stories of trauma and triumph. In sharing our experiences, we find connection and understanding. Join her now as we burn through the walls of separation. Get ready for Finding the Fire, and let's find your spark.
Hello. Hopefully this thing is working. Yes, we are getting the thumbs up, so I think we got this. Going. How are you over there, Cammie?
Oh man. Well, our last show we were talking about having it not be about coronavirus, but obviously we're not even in the same room, so we know how that turned out.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Well, we are doing everything we can to do our part to keep each other safe.
Yep.
And listen to, those in the know, apparently, to keep distance as much as possible. So I really, really, really want to give a shout out to Podcast Studio for getting this set up for us and working it all out. I mean, you guys, they are amazing. I tell you what, they got us these mics to take home and they put some software on my computer. And they've worked with us for a little while here today to get this going for us today. So we really want to give them a shout out. And if you guys are looking to record a podcast, we got the hookup for you. So there's a little plug
awesome.
there.
Seriously. So awesome. Takes out all the guesswork because it's kind of tricky to do, especially right now as we're trying to navigate through so many uncertain times. There's going to have to be changes.
Yes, for sure. And we're just going to have to flow with it the best we can and just trust that at the end of all of this, it's going to be okay. And just remember that we're all going to get through this together. And just try to feed yourself full of things that make you feel good in here instead of feeding yourself full of things that make you not feel good up here and might scare you because, fear actually really depletes your immune system. And there's a lot of, things out there in the news and the media right now that might be scary, and there's a lot of negative news. And instead of just doing a social distancing, I'm doing a social media distancing myself, and I've just kind of stayed away and shut it all down because I don't need any of that negative stuff getting permeating my field right now.
Yeah, so it's funny that you mentioned that. I attended the Zoom call Monday. I don't know what even today is. It's Thursday, by the way, you guys.
Yeah. I don't know who needs to know that, but today is Thursday.
I'm not sure what day it is or even what month, but I believe that it's Thursday and I believe it's March, but I could be totally wrong. It could be December. I don't know anymore. But on Monday, I believe. Okay. I'm in this group called Board of Advisors, and it's a bunch of business owners. And we met together to talk about what changes are we making to keep up with it. And it was really inspiring to me. There was 38 of us on the call, and they're business owners from around the world, mostly in the US, and that's what we were talking about. And it was really, really inspiring to see people come together, talk about the good things that are happening. And it wasn't just in one town. It wasn't just in one state. It was throughout the country, throughout the world. And a couple things that we thought about that I took away from it is, like you said, it's time to think differently. Everything's different. So we're going to be thinking differently. And if we take time right now to be proactive in our own work, in our own families, in our own goal setting, then when this is all said and done, we will be able to get back on our feet. But the fear feeds into so much. And so I was just thinking lately about how I can be a leader and help people in my family and things and my friends or just whoever, you've come in contact with, feed more on love instead of fear. And Absolutely. Those that do that at this time will emerge as lights.
Yes, for sure. Thank you for sharing that. And it's so true, and I belong to a few groups like that as well. And they don't spread fear, but they spread a lot of good information on how to stay healthy. And if you do find yourself coming down with symptoms, on things you can do to keep yourself healthy. And I just really appreciate that from those people. It's like trying to stay positive and look at things we can do instead of living in fear of what we can't do and what we can't control, because we can't control if we can't go. Yeah, so many things right now in our lives we can't control because we're being told what to do at this time to try and keep as many people safe as possible. But what we can control is our mindset, our actions, our behaviors, and what we're putting out, what energy we're putting out into the world, and whether that's to our kids, to our friends, to our coworkers, to our spouses, to ourselves. Let's make sure to, remember like that after all this is done, it's going to be so much shifting and changing and coming back together physically. Like right now, I feel like a lot of people are coming together within themselves, within their neighborhoods, within their communities, helping people so much. Like I love seeing all the stories of people sewing masks, like neighbors helping neighbors. And it's like we got so far away from that with our world the way it was with electronics and everything, that I think this is more, this is a call home. And when I say home, I don't mean in your home, which yes, a lot of us physically are in our homes right now, but I mean a call home into our hearts and like remember what's really true and what's really important once all this noise is out of the way, because what's really important is human beings and people and each other and being there for each other. So,
there's a lot of good things coming, and it does inspire me.
Yes.
Super inspiring. There's species of animals that are coming out of the water, out of the rainforests and things that we haven't seen for so long. And so there are some good things. The pollution's dying. Some protests in different areas are dying down. People are checking in on their neighbors. I've talked to people on the phone I haven't talked to in 10 years recently. And so there's different things happening where we are having to, look in ourselves. And I am an educator, I'm a teacher. And so the homeschool thing to me, I'm kind of loving it, even though I realize it's a lot. So here we are schooling at home, But right now, I don't think it matters the learning what they're getting as long as they get the feeling. They're going to remember the feeling right now. They're going to remember if their parents or friends or family or whoever was around them, because I really believe this is a time that we're going to look back and read about.
Oh, for sure. This will be in the history books for sure. And it's definitely very important what we put out to our kids. And I know it's stressful, like navigating the whole homeschool thing and stuff, but just remember, to make sure your kids feel safe with all of it and not perpetuate the fear behind it, and let them realize like, hey, this is a fun time. It can be a fun time to reconnect with your family and reconnect with, we're doing more and more things together as a family, and I love it, so
yeah, I agree.
We can remember that and just try to stay in that mindset, so but I definitely highly recommend a social media distancing as well for people. If you're feeling the stress out there, if you're spreading love and positivity and that stuff's not getting you down, great, but if not, turn that stuff off for a minute, just be with yourself.
Yeah, it's huge. There's not a lot for people to post. No one's doing anything.
I know no one's doing anything, but there's a lot of.
But I love it. We've been like doing games, and we've been doing schoolwork. And yesterday we were doing right triangles, and so I got to show her, or right angles, sorry. So we did like a real life thing, walked around the house, and I let her draw all over the windows and like marked a little angle. And like when we started, she was crying, like, I don't know what a right angle is. And so I'm like, well, here's a circle. If a straight line's 180 and right little angle is cutting that in half, and you're talking about the parts of a circle. And she went from like crying to like, oh, I got to see the little like light bulb turn on, that we miss every day, or we used to miss because the teachers got to see it. And I actually miss that. That's my favorite.
Yeah, when they make that connection. Oh, we might have froze, or you might have froze. I don't know. Can you still? Okay, there you are. We're good now. Getting the thumbs up. So.
But the reason I brought that up is my kids aren't going to love our project we're starting now. Is I'm like, great, okay, right angles. Now we're gonna build a garden box. You're going to build me some shelves. We're going to do all these things. And my high schooler's like, this isn't funny anymore. I'm like, well, normally just do a word problem. But right now, I'm just going to want you to get outside. I made him go measure for the garden and yay.
Yes. You know what? That stuff is all learning too. And that's really fun. That's stuff we should be learning. And I heard that not that long ago that we should be teaching that stuff in schools instead of some of the stuff we do teach is how to garden, how to take care of yourselves.
Yeah.
But
I love STEM and science and engineering and math, and it's all included. And they can just so happen to build me a garden.
Yes.
Whoops.
And you know what? The sun is shining, you guys. I don't know if you've been outside, but if anybody's like hold up in their house, like get outdoors because the sun is out.
Sunny in our
town. Beautiful. Highly, highly, highly recommend some sunshine and vitamin D to help boost your spirits and your immune system. So, yeah, avoid crowds and that. But there's lots of places we can go. I think Cammie froze again, Sean. Maybe I did too. Oh, there we go. I don't know what's up. But anyhow.
What I noticed was when we set a schedule, right?
Yeah.
And then we would take a break. When I wasn't setting a schedule for my day, it was just but now that we have a schedule, it's okay, stop. Let's go for a walk around the block. And let's come back. I'm enjoying that so much.
That's a great tip right there. I love that tip for sure. For sure.
I think I'm going on 4 or 5 walks every day, just around the block with the kids in the park. We're going back to the pool. It's oh, yay, screens can go away for a minute.
Mm-hmm. Get away from the electronics,
Which is really hard because the kids are on it for a lot of their school and the, colleges and things. But the human connection is what we're craving.
Yeah, and that's what we've been missing for a long time. And so this is it. It's like I said, again, calling you home with your family, with your children, with your neighbors. And then once the lifts the regulations are lifted, I guess, and we get back out there, we can hopefully be a little bit kinder to each other and appreciate people more and not just take life for granted like we were. We were so asleep in our own world. Yeah, wash our hands. If you're sick, don't go out and contaminate everybody. These are precautions that we should have learned in kindergarten, you guys. So, but the overall for me is just treating each other with kindness and respect because I see so much of it right now. And I see people smiling and laughing and talking, even if they're at a distance. And I did it today too. I ran into a friend at the grocery store and we stood 6 feet apart talking to each other. And I saw other people doing it too and give virtual air hugs and stuff like that. But, yeah, hopefully we can remember that when these bans are lifted and we get back to our lives and we don't just go right back to sleep with everything.
Yeah, it's definitely woken people up in different ways.
Yeah.
I think that people are, I know for me, as being an extrovert, I thrive on human interaction, right? And I'm just I'm dying. But now we just have to be creative about different ways to still interact with people. And then also, there's people in my house. I've got all my littles and they're so much fun to actually hang out with. Oh my gosh, you forget when you're busy, I'm working, you're going to school, you forget how much fun your kids are.
Right.
They're so much fun. Yeah.
They are. They're so fun and they're so smart. The things that come out of my 10-year-old's mouth, I'm like, girl, you have lived a million lifetimes. Yeah. How do you know that? She was telling me some stuff the other day about earthquakes and what she thinks they are. And I'm like, that is so smart and intelligent and intuitive. And it's not something anybody told her. It was just something she came up with by her inner knowing and just feeling into what she thought might cause that kind of stuff. And it's just really neat to spend that time and really get to know them as a person instead of everybody going their own ways. We go to work, they go to school, we get home, they do homework, we're cooking dinner, the TV's on, and then it's time for bed,
Mm-hmm.
So this is a wake-up call for humanity in so many ways right now. And
yeah, nobody knows how long it's going to last.
Yeah, we don't. So yeah, just treat each other with respect and kindness, and treat yourself with respect and kindness is the key factor, and let it emulate out from there. So,
and I was listening to a different podcast this week. My friend has one, And he said the answer to where he's talking about entrepreneurship, but he said the answer is never going to be just sit and stare at the wall. And it was like, oh, yeah, I guess I was just kind of doing that for the last, I don't know however long this has been going on, like paralyzed, almost like not even working on my business, just unsure what's going to happen with everything. And he made a really good point. He's like, we have to just change with it and be open and mindful and listen to what your instincts say you're supposed to change to. But also remember the human connections, reach out to people that have always been your client or, talking business wise. Call them up, call old friends that you haven't touched base with. These relationships, the whole relationship marketing piece is a mindset to take forward. And I've had calls from, like I was saying, from people I haven't talked to in forever, and it totally lifted my spirits. It's like, oh my gosh, hi, thank you. And so from that, it's people are laying off like crazy, and people aren't sure what's going to happen in the future, if they're going to be able to make the same amount of money, and that's stressful as a parent. And, we don't know, some of our kids aren't walking for graduation, just different things. But really, I think we crave that human connection, and we can get through it if we just continue to do that instead of just do what I was doing for the first little bit, just literally sitting there like, what do I do? I had to stop just sitting there. So this week I'm like, all right, I'm done.
You froze again. Oh, there you are. Yeah, no, I love that you said that, because I think I found myself doing that for a minute too and getting wrapped up. And that's why I'm like off of social media, because I was letting other people's mindsets and mentalities sink in to me. And I too, like you, like I found myself just kind of stuck literally for a few days. And then I'm like, wait, what am I doing? Like, I don't have to sit and stare at the walls. Like you said, I can get outside and, get some sunshine, go on a hike, like go do something, change your perspective. Like if I'm sitting in one place and I'm staring at the wall, and literally like I guess right now where I'm sitting is kind of a good idea. I'll point over here. So like right here is my wall on my balcony. And if I just stare at it, it can get really depressing and boring, and I don't realize there's a whole other world out there. But if I turn this way, there's mountains and clouds and trees, birds and everything else. But like, just shift your perspective a little bit. If you're finding yourself going down a rabbit hole of, anxiety or depression, or the world's coming to an end, like, change your viewpoint for just a minute and don't sit and stare at the wall, because that's never going to help anybody. I like that you said that.
Don't be afraid to be creative right now in your business, in your relationships. Don't be afraid to go, okay, well, we offer this one specific service, but guess what? I'm going to change it this way. I'm going to reach out to my customers and do, Facebook video or Zoom or Skype and connect with people on a connection piece, or dive into the numbers of your business, dive into your budget with your family. Like, there's different things I've wanted to do forever and ever and haven't. It's like, okay, now's the time to do it, but also be creative in the fact that, like, let's keep working and let's keep loving and moving and teaching our kids that we can keep trucking through anything, because I don't know, this might just be a precursor to something later. Who knows? Maybe it won't be. I can't say, but just the way, like you said, the way we respond and the way that we freak out or don't, or, instill fear or instill love and kindness, they will copy it.
Absolutely. Sorry, so many thoughts just came in that I can't focus on one, but the whole perspective thing is just huge. And I realize that not everybody has, like, a lot of people, like you say, a lot of people were laid off, and they didn't have the option. They didn't have a business that they're running personally, right? Like you and I, we run a few different businesses ourselves, and we can find some different ways to do that. But a lot of people lost their jobs, but there's a lot of new jobs out there, you guys. Like, if you go out there, there's places like Costco and UPS and like probably Uber Eats, I imagine. But I know a lot DoorDash. I heard that Walmart's hiring. I was just going to say too, a small business association came out with a huge thing. So everybody, this was one thing they came up on that call, was doesn't matter what your business is. If your business is thriving, if your business is not thriving, go to the SBA website and apply for these loans. And they're willing to, it's called economic
injury disaster loan assistance. So if you just punched in small business loan disaster assistance or whatever, it'll be the first thing that comes up. And they're right now giving small business owners, again, if you're a successful business owner or not, it doesn't matter. They're encouraging everyone to still apply. And they're giving money, and then they're going to do some loan forgiveness. So the Small Business Association understands that when small businesses go out of business at a time like this, it ruins everything.
Right.
So I'm going to be sharing all those links, but it's just disaster loan. It's just called the disaster loan.
Disaster loan. I love that you shared that. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're encouraging everyone. So, small businesses, our favorite small businesses in town, we were talking last time about, oh my gosh, this certain business or that certain business, or, I know people that are getting rid of employees like crazy. It's breaking their heart. And I have had to do some modifications myself. And it's like, what do I do? Doesn't matter if your business is, flourishing or not. They say, get your application into as many grants, as many disaster loan things, apply for forbearances, apply for all of these things that you can to free up capital so that you can, it's like the person with the most weapons in their arsenal at the end wins, right? So instead of just staring at the wall, it's like, okay, all right, that rocked me. What can I do now? Yeah. There's resources out there. There's people to connect with, but I want to, go to the SBA disaster loan, tell everyone that that has a business, because who knows? I mean, you can maybe get some money you don't have to pay back.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm glad you shared that. I've had a lot of business owners reach out to me and be afraid right now with what's going to happen. And we just have to share those resources, those valuable resources. So I really appreciate that you shared that. And then also trust too, you guys, that it's all going to work out in the end, the way, it might not be the way we thought it was, but it might be better and overall. Like,
I have to borrow a roll of teepee from somebody.
Hey, I found a square the other day. So
you did, see? You.
But yeah, so yeah, just realize like what I want to say for me is like some of my biggest trials and tribulations in life, at the time, they're the most horrible thing you can imagine. And but at the end and afterwards and looking backwards, it's like, wow, because of that, these things ended up coming into my life or happening that were beautiful out of it, and I would have never seen it in the time. And right now we're in the time and it's hard to see that and know that. But I promise you, every time I've gone through my worst trials in life, I look back and I can count so many blessings out of what's come out of it. Completely different, totally pivoted from what I thought on certain things. But right now it's scary for a lot of people, but, just trust that in the end, it'll work out. So I just want to kind of put that.
Keep you going is hope, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is hard for some of us that experienced, 2008 and 2007 and things like that, but just trusting, learn from I'm learning from that experience way back when. And some of the younger generation doesn't know what we've been through. So it is kind of I can see how parents sometimes would be like, freaking out because they've seen such depressions, happen. Think about my parents. They're just freaking out. But then again, there's some parents that are my parents, some people are my parents' age, they don't even think it's real. So
right.
I guess there's that side of the coin too. Some people are like, that's not even real. Just who cares? So then you have states like Washington State, my home state, they have a lot of deaths, and they've been on shelter in place for a long time. So people just need to, unfortunately, just play the game and realize we have to stay put for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. We're getting the 2-minute signal here. Yeah. So wrapping up and overall, just share love and hope, you guys, and spread the love. My daughter's group of friends was sharing Instagram and putting out a message of positivity, and they would tag 10 girlfriends and then inspire and encouraging them to go put a positive message out. And so it just kind of perpetuated. And she's like, Mom, do this too in your group of friends. And we did that. And it was fun. Do something to help spread some love and light, even in my darkest moments, you guys. I reach out to other people, especially when I'm really depressed. And I know it's the hardest thing to do. And I know I've shared this before, but I think right now is a really good time to reiterate. When I am at my lowest and I'm like, I don't even know what to do. Like, I reach out and take flowers to somebody. I cook a meal for somebody. I call somebody. I call a friend and just say, hey, how are you? And so do something for someone else. If you can't think of how to pull yourself out in the moment, think of somebody else that you might be able to share light with and spread a little love and joy. And yeah, that's the overall message I want to get out. Is there any last words you want to say, Cammie? We have a few seconds left, I think.
Just that fear, when the fear part of our brain turns on, the logic part turns off.
Yes.
And when the love part of your brain is on, there's so many more receptacles open and pathways open in the brain. And we get to choose. It's up to us to choose which way you want to go.
Choose love. Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Well, I don't know where we'll be next week, but I'm sure we'll be not in the studio by the looks of things. So I'm so glad that we got this worked out, and thanks to a podcast studio for sure. Again, we want to give another shout out to them for helping us get this working. And we will see you guys next week. Bye.
You've been listening to Finding the Fire, where we are finding deeper connections through sharing our life experience. Being placed in foster care, losing a child to SIDS, and a husband to suicide, Cindy has turned her story into the fuel that drives her. To be featured as a guest, go to findingthefire.com. Cindy is a former NICU nurse, a foster parent, has started a nonprofit, helps others, and supports her family by selling real estate. To find out more, go to involvedcommunity.com.